can't remember exactly now in time, but we had 2, maybe 3 years off him, and then he wanted to go, as did 1 or 2 other players, in particular Johnny Gidman. And my attitude is, if they want to go that much, and at that time he wasn't doing so much for us anyway, we let him go. And he was certainly the best sell that we'd ever made.
Since being named Manager of the Year in 1975, Saunders had shrewdly played the market to reinforce homegrown talent. His team for the next big challenge gradually took shape.
I was fortunate during the years I was there to bring in players of quality, and not just as players but as people.
The earliest member of the Championship side to emerge was Gordon Cowans. He'd come to Villa from County Durham as a 15-year-old apprentice.
I would think the greatest thing about Gordon, at one stage he felt that he was a little bit better than he was, and as you kind of kept chipping away and pulling him down, he didn't get his head down. And I think finally at an early age he realised everything he was saying was right and what was good for him, and he developed into an exceptionally good player.
Cowans, a loose one from Todd, and Shaw is unmarked in the middle. There he is! Oh, what a marvellous piece of play!
In 1975, Dennis Mortimer was signed from Coventry, a midfield motivator.
Dennis turned out to be as good a signing as any that I signed for Aston Villa, and gave tremendous service to Aston Villa, and a leader. And at that time, as he came in, you know, he started rubbing off on other people. And when we ended up winning the championship, we're fortunate that we had something like 5, 6, maybe 7 leaders out there on the park.
As a successor to Chris Nicholl in the centre of defence, Ken McNaught came from Everton in the summer of '77.
Ken didn't go down very well with the supporters, took a tremendous amount of stick, and from the local media as well as the supporters, but he stuck at it, and you know, it was my job then to stick my back in the way of the criticism and let everyone blame me, and you know, he came through and proved to be a tremendous signing, tremendous player.
Jimmy Rimmer, like McNaught, made his debut at the start of '77-78. He cost £65,000, a bargain after showing this kind of form for Arsenal.
You know, as good a signing as anything I ever made. And for those years, and in my opinion, for a few years later, he's as good or better than anything else in the country.
Here's Trevor Ross. Deflection, great save by Rimmer. Oh, what a good stop by Jimmy Rimmer.
I mean, you read a lot about the boy Shilton, but Jimmy Rimmer's got to be at least equal to Shilton, not just as a performer, but also as an attitude and as a professional.
Next to arrive was Alan Evans, a partner for McNaught in defence, although he'd been a centre-forward with Dunfermline Athletic.
He had played as a defender, but he was at that time playing as a striker, and he came down as a striker. So when I switched him, he told me he had already played as a defender, so it wasn't that we were a bit brilliant and thought of something. We were only doing something which was fairly obvious anyway.
Kenny Swain was another convert. A midfield player with Chelsea, he became a right-back with attacking inclinations, reunited with Dennis Mortimer. They played together on Merseyside for Kirby Boys.
And it took me a few weeks to persuade him, without bullying him too much. But subsequently, you know, after half a dozen games, he was a bit delighted he'd changed.
For a wide player, Saunders bought Tony Morley, £200,000 from Burnley.
Tony had a lot of ability, knew he had a lot of ability. At that stage didn't understand too much about the game and what the game was about, mainly about it being a team job and him having to do a job in the team.
He's in with a chance here, and he hits the crossbar.
We had a lot of players in the side that knew what the game was about, and once we kicked off, they were able to get hold of Tony, knew what I wanted and insist he did it. And once he did it and got in what we call starting positions, all of a sudden he was the icing on the cake, and we had to wind him up all the time. You know, Tony's a lovable fella, great fella, but you didn't give him a rollicking once a week, he thought you'd fallen out with him.
Morley. The opening might be there for him again.
Morley's debut was in August 1979. A month later, Des Bremner came down from Hibernian, where he'd played over 200 games and been capped by Scotland.
Most underrated player that I've ever signed, and possibly if there was one player at any given time you would have to say him or Jimmy Rimmer were the two most indispensable, because you had no one else that was going to replace them on the standard, on the type that they were.
On to Bremner. Well, building very nicely. Peter Weir. He lays the ball so well.
And you could say if anyone was to put the heart in the side, that was Des. Tremendous part.
The